I'm Dale Lawrence. Welcome to the Travel Show. I'm at the Mandarin Oriental, the iconic and historic hotel situated on the banks of the Chao Phraya River here in Bangkok city centre. Now, later in the show, I'll be talking to three of the city's top hoteliers about the challenges facing Thailand tourism in general and the city's five-star hotel sector in particular. We'll also have a roundup of the latest news from the world of travel and tourism in Thailand and the ASEAN region. But first, here's a look at one of Bangkok's latest attractions, where you have the opportunity to rub shoulders with some major celebrities, including Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Welcome to Madame Tussauds. Now, Madame Tussauds started as a traveling exhibition in France over 200 years ago. In 1835, a permanent exhibition of waxworks was established in London, and that's still there, attracting over 2.5 million visitors every year. This Madame Tussauds is situated at Siam Discovery, a popular shopping mall right in the heart of Bangkok. And General Manager Paul Williams is keen to make this attraction as popular as its predecessor in London. Are your visitors now really appreciating what they can do when they come here?
I don't know. We're still trying very hard to communicate the fact that it's about up close and personal and being able to touch the figures and have your photograph taken with them. And also a lot of the interactives. You know, you can play football, you can play golf here, you can play basketball here, there's a karaoke room. And there's a lot of photo opportunities as well. And it really is different. It's not a museum, it's an attraction. I must admit, trying to communicate that has been rather difficult. But you know, Madame Tussauds is not your normal wax museum. It's a wax attraction, and the interactives, you know, all over the place. There are drawers and things to pull or screens to touch. And it's also a learning experience. We just launched Be the Star, runner-up in a local singing competition, and has now become very well known throughout the kingdom. And there are many more others to come. But you know, there are Michael Jackson's, Beyonce, we're going to have Lady Gaga coming. So watch this space. I mean, there are a lot of very, very well-known international stars, as well as you know, politicians and leaders around the world.
Now, sport, of course, is a very strong theme here at Madame Tussauds. I know you've got David Beckham, Steven Gerrard, Tiger Woods.
We've also got interactive. So, for example, you mentioned Tiger Woods and stuff. You can actually play golf and putt the ball. For the David Beckham show, you can actually try and score a penalty, although he did miss a couple in various World Cups.
Now, tell me a little bit about the Thai personalities you've got here, because you start with the royal family, of course. There's a strong political element.
We were very honoured to be given royal permission to do His Majesty's, the Princess Mother, His Majesty the King's parents, dating from a photo of 1924. And they are the only figures, out of respect for the royal family and of the Kingdom of Thailand, they're the only figures you're not allowed to touch in any Madame Tussauds around the world.
Finally, Paul, now the Prime Minister told us only last week that he's looking to see about 17 million international arrivals coming to Thailand this year. Now that's very good for Thailand's tourism in general. That could be good news for you, couldn't it?
Yes, I think it is. I mean, one of the surprising things about Thailand, it had problems in 2008, 2009 obviously, and 2010. And what is surprising is that the international market, the inbound tourism, has been quite steady. It has dropped a little bit, but not as much as everybody would have expected.
The Tourism Authority of Thailand is promoting the country's many golf courses at a golf tourism convention in California next month. The authority is targeting higher spending tourists right across the Americas as part of its marketing program for 2011. And the TAT is also looking to attract more visitors this year from Russia, China and India.
Amazing Thailand, just as amazing as you remember.
Tourism in Thailand is making yet another impressive recovery. Consumer confidence is growing again and the visitors are coming back to Thailand. But where are they staying? The economic recession prompted so many tourists to choose destinations closer to home and stay in much more affordable accommodation. So where does that leave the five-star hotel sector in Bangkok, Thailand and the ASEAN region? Join me after the break when I'll be putting that question and many others to three distinguished city hoteliers, Jan Gussing, Samir Wilderman and Chris Bailey. Stay with us. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me for On the Record. Now, there's a challenge facing the five-star hotel market, isn't there? We're going to see this year more than 2,000 hotel rooms come on stream, and in the next couple of years, more than 3,500. What's concerning me is where are you going to be finding new people to come and stay in your hotels? Jan Gussing, General Manager of the Mandarin Oriental. Now, I have a view that many of your guests come here because it's reassuringly expensive, and they know that the vast majority of tourists probably couldn't afford to stay here. But it's a challenge even for you, isn't it?
It certainly is a challenge. I mean, one should never take business for granted. I believe that there will always be taste for luxury out there. We will always have people out there that will look for the likes of our hotels. So I'm optimistic in that regard. Otherwise, you know, why putting so much effort into it? But the markets are changing, you're correct. The feeder markets here for Bangkok as well. We are traditionally focused mostly on Europe and the United States. And lately, we had some additional business come in from the Asian countries, such as China, mostly. Hong Kong as well is very supportive, and now Singapore is bringing in some business as well. So we have some new players out there. As I said, I believe there is always that appetite for luxury. And I think as long as we maintain our service levels and stay focused, we shouldn't be overly concerned.
Chris, you'd be in a similar position, I would imagine, Vice President for Sales and Marketing at Centaur Hotels and Resorts. You face similar challenges to Jan, don't you?
Yes and no. I mean, we are more in the, we have several brands, but one of those brands is our Centaur Grand brand. But it would be more in the kind of value five-star market as opposed to the luxury five-star market. But I think that if you look at the builds that we have done here in Bangkok, we're very much still focused on building for an opportunity within the market as opposed to just adding rooms. So the latest Grand here at Central World was designed to be a convention hotel because at the end of the day the city lacked a downtown convention facility, and we knew that within what is a 15-minute walking radius of Central World, we have 4,000 rooms. So to build a convention hotel was ideal, and before you had to go outside of the city to actually find that kind of facility. So very much we like to build something that we feel has an opportunity to fill, as opposed to just, as I said, adding rooms.
But at the moment, Thailand's numbers of international arrivals are holding steady, but we're not seeing any rapid expansion. And that brings me on to Samir Wilderman. Now, Samir, you're general manager of a hotel yet to open, the Okura Prestige, situated right in the heart of Bangkok. You're scheduled to open the first quarter of next year, a 5-star brand, and you must be worried about where you're going to find guests to fill those rooms.
So obviously, yes, there's a supply that is being added. There's not much happening in Bangkok to drive more business, but numbers in January, I think, have been very positive. Numbers have been shown to increase by 12%, I think, tourist arrivals. Now, with the situation in Japan, obviously, it will impact Thailand because there will be less travelers from that destination.
Indeed.
We do expect a big drop, I think 30 to 50%. The numbers vary, and it depends how long the situation will last with the nuclear power plants in Japan. But I do think there's room for every player. Again, as a new property, it's again a question of location where you are. Business has to come from somewhere. We may be taking away from some older properties. It's diluting a little bit the business, but I think there's still enough room because numbers will increase. The economy is back on track, and I think the fact that worldwide the economy has recovered, there will be again more travelers, be it just business or leisure. I think for the destination itself, Bangkok is perceived as cheap, so there's room for improvement, I think, for every hotel to come up with the rates. Bangkok, I think, overall has an average rate of 93 to 95 US dollars, which is, I think, extremely low in this region. I think way below KL. We used to be higher than Kuala Lumpur itself as a destination. So there's room for improvement, and I think there's profitability still there in hotels. And I think from that point, if you look at it from that angle, there's still an opportunity for everyone.
Well, you've raised several points there, Samir. The average room rate, I think, is a very interesting one. And I would put it to all three of you, that you are causing that problem yourselves, because in times of difficulty, you face the constant decision of, do I discount my rates or do I add value to my existing tariff? And so many properties were tempted into discounting, and you can cut your prices at a stroke. It's very difficult to then lift them back up to their former levels. Yeah, did you even have to face that difficult decision when times were difficult in 2010? Global economic recession, the social protests here?
Sure, I believe we all had to take a view and make a decision in this regard. I think we could not have made that decision solely on our own. Shareholders played a role in that as well. In our case, we have taken the decision to protect our rate, successfully so, which shows that if you have a solid position in the marketplace and you have a loyal following, that people recognize that even at our rates, which are substantially higher than the competitive rates, visitors will recognize the value. As we just heard, the average rate here for Bangkok or for Thailand is almost ridiculously low in comparison to other parts of the world. In New York, our hotel currently runs an average rate of about $1,000. You know that you can get a room here in a luxury hotel for $200, $150. In our case, thankfully, significantly more, but still vastly discounted from New York or London or Milan or Tokyo rates, should mean something to our visitors.
I read a report recently from an industry analyst that said, quite simply, the era of the five-star hotel is coming to an end. A fairly sweeping statement, and I wouldn't care to name it publicly. Although his comments are on public record, and I know you would disagree with that. But don't you have a problem with the rates that Samir was quoting, 93 average room rate, $93, $95 a night? Thailand doesn't have a problem in attracting type of tourist that wants to stay in a 3 or 4-star hotel. They're going to come anyway. Isn't the challenge to bring back larger numbers of the higher spending visitors to Thailand?
I think you've got a mixed opportunity there. I think, first of all, as far as Thailand is concerned, we are probably one of very few destinations in the world that still offer some incredible value for money in this market, in the 5-star market. As we said before, look at the kind of rates that people are offering elsewhere. So, you know, when it comes to people choosing a destination, I take the corporate market out of this a minute, but in terms of a leisure destination, which is where a lot of the growth is here, you know, where can you stay in a 5-star hotel and receive the kind of levels of service that Thailand, you know, is very well renowned for, at the money that you know a room costs in this country, and you know you can add those places up on less than 5 fingers, basically.
So many visitors to Thailand are repeat guests. I think over 60%. So maybe you're not worried about that quite yet because you won't open until next year, but clearly it's something you'll want to generate with your particular clientele. Chris, are we doing everything right to make sure that people are still going to come back, or is there more that can be done in terms of promoting Thailand as a brand?
Yeah, I do think it becomes harder and harder to appeal to a repeating guest, particularly as the destination, you know, grows in appeal. So you have many more guests coming. You know, are you actually delivering the same experience as you did when they first came 10 years ago? Yes. And that does get harder. And I think that that's something for, you know, not just hoteliers, not just for suppliers of an experience, but also for Brand Thailand to be able to communicate and deliver. You know, the fact our beaches are pristine, that it's a safe destination to come. All of the ingredients that come together that allow or make a guest choose a destination for their annual trip.
Indeed. Samir, I think you mentioned that the figures for Thailand, numbers of arrivals here last year were up about 12%. Of course, that was against a very disappointing 2009. We had swine flu, global economic downturn, social and domestic political issues here in Thailand as well that were brewing, that were putting people off. So whilst it was an improvement on the previous year wasn't all that good. But the forecasts for this year are truly remarkable. I mean, the Prime Minister told us last week he's expecting to see 17 million. That may be slightly optimistic, but I think the tourism authorities and the ministries are quoting a figure around about the 16 million mark. And Thailand's been hovering around that figure for some time, but doesn't seem to be able to sort of kick on and really move to the next level. Are we missing a trick here in terms of getting up to the 20 million mark?
If I could say that 17 million tourists, but what or who are those tourists? I mean, you know, we can all get hooked up on numbers, but in terms of the destination, you know, are they 17 million coming for 2 nights? Are they 17 million coming for 12 nights? You know, what's the value of those guests coming? So I think that, you know, it's really important for us to be looking at, you know, the overall, first of all, delivering the experience that each and every one of those tourists wants to get when they come here, but also not being totally hooked up on it always has to be 1 million more, 2 million more year on year on year. And make sure we look after the people we've already got first.
Yes.
And make sure they come back again and again and again, because at the end of the day, we all know it's much cheaper for the destination to get a repeating guest than it is to find a new one.
But the challenge is, as we mentioned before, bringing back more of the higher end travellers and tourists, if you like, people who are prepared to stay in 4- and 5-star hotels and have more disposable income when they get here.
And stay longer.
And stay longer, indeed. Well, of course, that trend was affected by the global economic downturn. We know that people were still going on holiday, but they were travelling shorter distances and staying in cheaper accommodation because their family budgets were only permitting them to do that type of trip. But I think now that consumer confidence is back, we should expect to see more long-haul visitors coming into Thailand this year, and hopefully having more money to spend in their pockets.
Let's just hope you're right. Yeah, I think you've got a point there, though. there should be a boost in numbers, and we want to believe those numbers. Of course we do. But we have to work very hard on it. As we said earlier, it's a matter of confirming the value proposition that we have here. The country needs to have a fantastic first impression and last impression. I think there are a number of players that need to come together to really make this possible. It will not happen by itself. There are numerous new destinations that are very appealing. It's also a generational question, I believe. You know, the younger generations, they have different expectations from a destination, and you were talking about, or we were talking about loyalty earlier. There's also a different loyalty factor to the younger generation than the older generation. So we're talking about a number of transitions, but we need to adapt to the world market and all these factors, and we need to find new ways of appealing to them, we have to just work the problem.
Well, you mentioned a very interesting point, and it's something we're going to come on to after the break, the issue of social media and attracting that younger generation. But for the moment, we'll take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Amazing Thailand always amazes you. Why TAN, you ask? Because out of the hundreds of Thai television stations available to viewers, TAN Network is the only network that broadcasts 24 hours in English. News, culture, entertainment, we've got it all. Watch us and you'll see what it's like to have a one-stop center for all the information you need on Thailand. TAN Network, the kingdom's first and only English television station.
Welcome back. Chris, I mean, 10 years ago, the idea of using social media to promote a brand and a particular property, I mean, just wasn't on the scene at all, was it? Is it an important part of your marketing strategy now?
Absolutely. I think that most organisations now feel it is an integral part of any kind of communication and distribution. It really does allow you to listen to your customer or your potential customer and find out exactly what they're thinking. And it's instant. I mean, it's immediate, it's instant. You can do it through all different vehicles today. There's so many different social media opportunities out there, but it does allow you to communicate with the customer directly. And I think also on a little less formal basis, because I think today's customer actually wants to be a little less formal. They actually want to get to grips with what you're doing and what you really think, not what the PR spin says you think, and that's what it allows.
Jan, I think one of the first things you did when you became general manager here, just over 2 years ago, was to start looking at how you should use social media to further promote the Mandarin Oriental brand. Is it working for you?
Definitely. I mean, it's essential. It's essential in today's world. We hadn't done anything before, but now we have introduced it. We have an e-commerce department with all that comes with it, and we are very active in working it. Just earlier today, I had a marketing meeting where we just go over social media statistics and make decisions in regards to strategies. It is, while it is essential, it requires a great deal of attention and time if you really want to work it, and again, we have to work it. So it's really changing our routines in many ways. And it goes all the way up. Again, I'm involved in this. And maybe in the past I would not have been involved in all the nitty-gritties of marketing, but In this case, I better be.
So will you be, when you're building up to your soft opening in early 2012, is Facebook an essential part of your marketing strategy?
Or not just Facebook, I think all social media sites, and it's developing extremely fast. If you just mentioned Facebook, it has changed completely. TripAdvisor used to be the site you would go on to look for referrals and so on. Facebook has replaced that too. You can book hotel rooms via them, so it's extremely important to be online because you get a substantial amount of business via these sites. Yes, you have to be. You want to tweet, you want to be known in the destination. It's not just for your customers in rooms department, it's exactly the same for your restaurants. You have to stay on top of it. People comment about you, you have to reply, you have to stay in. So yes, absolutely, we'll be looking at that very, very heavily.
A final word from all three of you, and I'll just start with Jan. Just looking ahead for the balance of 2011, are you quietly confident as well that we'll see the numbers come back?
Eternal optimist. I really am. I guess we have to be. And it's not based on forecasts. It's just based on the fact that, you know, that a market such as Thailand has so much to offer. And the value proposition is as good as we said earlier, competitive on the worldwide scale. It has to work. You know, sooner or later it's going to come back. It was here before, why shouldn't it come back?
There are two issues as far as I'm concerned. First of all, you know, our industry has been and is terribly resilient. If you think of the man-made and natural issues and disasters that we've been through here in Thailand over the years, we've come through those. And I think that the industry is stronger because of it. And we continue to keep reinventing ourselves and delivering a really high-quality product that a customer appreciates and does keep returning.
Samir, Thailand has a remarkable track record, doesn't it, in bouncing back from all sorts of adversity.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. I'm always amazed every year, but again, not surprised because you've seen it. If you talk to your customers, your regular customers, and I've been working in hotels now since 13 years in Thailand, they come for the same reason. One is because it's Thailand, it's the people, it's the safety and security you have, it's the food. You always hear the same stories. But again, these customers come back automatically, and as we said, we can't just be expecting them to come back. We have to do something to create a desire to come to Thailand. Other destinations, very big destinations around us here in this region, have done something. They're attracting, their numbers of visitors have exploded. And Thailand has to do something urgently actually to jump onto this wagon and attract travelers to here, be it to build a Formula One track, be it to build theme parks, to allow casinos or whatever it may be. We have to do something. But the numbers will increase. I mean, I'm not worried. Our inventory increases, but at the same time, the numbers, the tourist arrivals to Thailand will increase. So from that point on, if it's 15, 16 or 17 million or even 18 million, this is going to happen. But can we make it 24, 25? That is in everyone's hand in our industry. We can achieve it, I think.
Well, Samir, you concluded by mentioning one or two things such as Formula One racing tracks and casinos, which I fear we'll have to leave for another day. Jan Gussing, Samir Wilderman, Chris Bailey, thank you for going on the record. Well, that's it for this week. Hope you've enjoyed it. My thanks to all our guests, and in particular to the Mandarin Oriental Hotel. So from everyone on the programme, including P002, it's goodbye.